This is Designer Drugs, a history of druggist labels. My name is Hannah Swan, and I'm the archivist for the School of Pharmacy at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I manage the historical collections of the American Institute of the History of Pharmacy. To begin, we must first answer the question, what are druggist labels? Druggist labels are printed or handwritten labels that pharmacists would use when dispensing medications or for in-house products sold at their pharmacy. They also include auxiliary labels, which would be placed around the main label and include cautions or information about how to take the medicine. In this video, we will focus on printed labels from the 19th and 20th centuries. To better understand the development of druggist labels, we must first briefly review how the practice of pharmacy changed from the early 19th century through to today. Compounding is the preparation of a drug for a customer based on a prescription. Up until the 20th century, pharmacies did almost all their compounding in-house. Though compounding pharmacies still exist, most modern pharmacies dispense, that is, prepare and package, medications that are manufactured by large pharmaceutical companies. Why the shift? The answer is more complex than can be explained in this short video, so suffice it to say that the transition from in-house compounding to dispensing is due in large part to standardization efforts across the pharmaceutical industry. During the 20th century, legislation such as the 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act cracked down on non-standard cures, many of which were indeed harmful to consumers. The pharmaceutical industry also began to focus more on the chemical synthesis of drugs, rather than their extraction from crude drug materials such as plants. This, too, was due in large part to standardization efforts. It was much easier to control the potency of a synthesized drug rather than that of a drug extracted from a natural product. Druggist labels changed as pharmacies changed. The custom labels needed for in-house compounds waned in popularity as pharmacists began dispensing more mass-produced drugs. But the evolution and style of druggist labels also changed with developments in printing technologies and with trends in commercial design. Labels were a way of distinguishing the pharmacist from his or her competitors. An article in a 1911 issue of The Chemist and Druggist advised that, quote, "Every label is an advertisement, and care should be taken to make it an effective one," end quote. The designs had to be eye-catching, aesthetically pleasing, and up-to-date. Before druggist labels were gummed, like a stamp you would moisten to adhere, they were shaped like this 20th century Swedish label. This is so that they could be wrapped around the neck of a bottle and tied with a string. The first American textbook on pharmacy, published in 1849, dedicated 6 pages to the pharmacist's skill of tying knots for precisely this purpose. Along with woodcut printed labels, of which the Institute holds no examples, many early 19th century labels were printed using engraved copper plates. These labels show the beautiful detail that could be achieved using copperplate engraving. Chromolithography, or stone-based color printing, became very popular in the printing of druggist labels at the end of the 19th century, as a cheaper alternative to copperplate printing. It was especially popular for perfume and cosmetics labels, which often featured floral designs. The introduction of die-cut or trimmed labels gave pharmacists novel design strategies for their labels. Previously, pharmacists wanting die-cut labels would have had to have trimmed them themselves from a larger sheet, a time-consuming process. As you can see, die-cut labels remained popular through the 20th century and were available in classic pharmaceutical shapes like the mortar and pestle. In their catalogs, druggist printers would often include stock ornaments available to add to their designs at no additional cost. In the 20th century, half-tone photographic reproductions were added to many druggist labels, with the preferred design being beautiful young women. The popularization of the typewriter meant that drug information could be typed directly onto labels using a special attachment, rather than handwritten by the pharmacist. Previously, handwriting was considered a core skill of the pharmacist. Pharmacy journals warned that, quote, "Patients are apt to form an estimate of the qualifications of the compounder of a prescription from the style of his penmanship." Though prescription labels live on, the art of the druggist label has been lost amidst the standardization and efficiency of the 20th century. The collection of labels at the American Institute of the History of Pharmacy serves as an archive both of the development of the community pharmacy and of trends in commercial design from the mid-19th century through to the dawn of the 21st century. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the Society for Textual Scholarship for my inclusion on this panel.